Wally West, the absolute Flash, is being hunted by the Rogues. But who exactly are the Rogues? 6 months ago, Higginsville, Oklahoma. Digger Harkness smiles at the pretty girl and raises his hand to the bartender. "Give us another round," he calls. The girl smiles back. "What kind of accent is that?" she asks. "Down under, love," he tells her. The two continue to flirt until a large man shows up and pulls Digger off his bar stool. "Hey, that's my sister, you ass!" the man growls. Digger holds up his drink and looks the man up and down. "I can see that she got all the looks in the family, eh, mate? Why don't you head back down to your trailer while I show your sis some real culture, yeah?" Digger tells the man with a smile. Moments later, he is flying through the air and landing on the gravel in the parking lot. Digger sighs as he fishes out a cigarette and lights it, taking in a few puffs from his place on the ground. "Rough night?" Colonel West asks as he crosses the parking lot. Digger pulls himself to his feet and stares at his old commanding officer in shock. "What the hell are you doing here?" Digger asks. "Look, there's nothing I can say that will make how things ended in Syria any easier to live with, Digger. But what if I told you you could wipe your record clean and give you a fresh start?" West asks him. He holds up a file for Harkness. "What's the catch?" "There's always a catch," Digger points out as he eyes the file. But West nods his head, explaining that he can't promise Digger will make it out of this mission alive. "But I promise that you'll get to fly some of the newest, meanest birds you've ever seen," West tells him. Digger ponders it for a moment before taking the folder. "Screw it, I'm in," he says. And so, West continues his mission across the country. That night, he finds himself in a lonely motel. He reaches for his phone while sitting on the edge of the bed. The phone rings, but no one answers. "Hey, Wally, it's Dad again. I sent you a few texts yesterday. Can you at least respond to those so I know you're doing okay?" Rudy asks before finally hanging up. He lays down in the bed and puts a picture of his wife and son on the bedside table. "Good night," he whispers before clicking off the light. Cottonwood Falls, Kansas. Leonard Snart is shouting for his sister. He finds her collapsed on the floor in the living room. "Geez, Lisa," Leonard whispers as he pushes aside the bottles of pills and picks her up to bring her back to her wheelchair. "What are you doing?" Lisa asks groggily. She pushes him away, reminding her brother that she doesn't want to live in the wheelchair for the rest of her life. But Leonard shakes his head angrily at her. "I'm not letting you do this to yourself," he shouts. But the argument is interrupted by a knock at the door. Leonard goes to answer it and finds Colonel West waiting for him on the porch. "Good morning, Captain. Am I interrupting?" Rudy asks. The two step outside for a beer, discussing how the VA doesn't offer many benefits for soldiers who betrayed their country. "The crap we pulled in Syria pretty much took us off the Army's Christmas list," Leonard explains. Rudy nods and takes a sip from the beer. "You and your team are lucky not to be in jail, Leonard," Rudy explains. But he looks up and explains that he's come to offer him something else that could help them all. That could help him and his sister. Later, another night, another lonely motel. Rudy tries calling his son again, but there is still no answer. "Wally, look, can you please call me back? I just want to hear your voice and make sure everything's okay," Rudy says before hanging up. He looks at the photo of his wife and son again, before his thoughts are interrupted by a knock at the door. Leonard motions him outside, and the two head out to see who's waiting for them by the van. "Seems someone saved us a trip, Colonel," Leonard explains, as Corporal Jesse James steps out of the shadows. "Evening, Colonel West," Jesse calls. She holds up her laptop, explaining that she's been tracking the group ever since Colonel West started gathering them. "I knew it was only a matter of time before they came for us after what we did, so I kept trackers on everyone so I could stay a step or two ahead," Jesse explains. She glares at West, explaining that she won't allow herself to be dragged to some black site prison. But Snart holds up a hand to calm her. "Actually, the Colonel has a new mission for us," Leonard explains to her. Jessie shakes her head and looks at him like he's an idiot. What kind of mission would the army offer a unit of court-martialed, disgraced soldiers who went rogue and took a bribe from a foreign government? Jessie asks. Rudy steps forward, an extremely dangerous one that no one in their right mind would volunteer for, he tells them all. He turns away and orders them all to get some sleep. Soon, they arrive at Fort Fox, Colorado. The group moves through the mysterious base, marveling at the tech that surrounds them. Soon, they are greeted by Dr. Barry Allen and Dr. Eleanor Thawne. What is it you want with us, Dr. Allen? Digger asks as he looks at an enclosure and notices a green ape inside. Barry smiles at them all. My partner, Dr. Eleanor Thawne, and I can't wait to show you, he says with a smile as he leads them deeper into the lab. Soon, they arrive in the Research and Development Wing, where Barry explains that the purpose of their work is to push the very limits of human potential, to work on advancements that will untether humankind. He motions to a man experimenting with equipment that allows him to move between mirrors, and a doctor seemingly speaking telepathically with a small green chimp. Yeah, but it's mostly weapons, right? I mean, if the government's funding all this, they want weapons, Leonard points out. Digger nods in agreement. The captain's right. Why else would you bring us here? But Dr. Thawne shakes her head. We are not here to make weapons for you, Captain Snart. We are here to make you into weapons, she explains. The two scientists lead them into another chamber, where the team marvels at the strange weaponry before them. Cold rays, robotic gold legs, flying drones. Jessie looks around in shock. This tech, where did this come from? She asks. Barry stares at her for a moment. Mojave Desert, 1944. Thawne and Jay Garrick stand before their machine. It's going to blow! We have to turn it off! Garrick shouts as the energy begins to pulse around the room. He reaches for the levers, but Thawne moves quickly. No! We've come too far! Thawne shouts as he slams into Garrick, pushing him into the strange energy that has begun to wrap around the room. Thawne watches in horror as Jay Garrick is seemingly folded into the strange force, becoming part of it before disappearing. That is, classified, Barry finally tells Jessie. But Rudy shakes his head. Look, Alan, if you want my people to volunteer, he begins to say. But Barry cocks an eyebrow at them all, pointing out that it isn't like they have much of a choice, which is why we chose them. Sign the waivers. Allow us to make you into gods, Barry says. Or go to prison for the rest of your lives as the traitors that you are, Thawne snaps before both scientists turn and walk out of the room. The group of soldiers stand quietly for a moment. So, where do we sign? Digger finally sighs. Fort Fox, present day. Rudy stands in shock as he stares at the strange alien artifacts that line the room. He reaches for his phone, afraid of what he's gotten himself and Wally into. He calls Wally to tell him that he made a mistake and that he needs Wally to know that what happened to his mother was not his fault in any way. Wally suddenly responds, Dad? Is that really you? Dad, I'm scared. Something's happened to me, Wally begins to say in a panic. Rudy tells him that it's okay, and if he just lets him know where he is, he will come and get him and help. But someone hits him from behind, putting a bag over his head and tying his hands before he can react. The phone drops to the floor, and Thawne smiles down at it as she crushes it with her cane. And that was the complete story for Absolute Flash Issue 6 by Jeff Lemire. A brief interlude from Wally's journey to show us a little more about the Rogues, about how they betrayed their country and how Rudy West recruited them. But what did you think about today's video? Let me know in the comments below. And like and subscribe for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.